Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with a bad habit. Bye, bye. Let's get to the intro. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I highly appreciate your support, man. I'm very humbled by it. Thank you. So there's a lot more information that came in since Tory Lanes was stabbed yesterday morning in Tehachapi Prison on A-Yard, right? And man, I've seen stories all over the place. I even seen one story I was baffled. The guy had the whole prison wrong. He thought Tory Lanes was in Kern Valley. I can see how people could make mistakes, man. Shit happens. When the news is out there, everybody on the YouTube yard wants to be the first one to put it out there, right? But I'm here to tell you, man, let's look at facts. Let's look at facts before it becomes bigger than it should be. This happened on Tehachapi A-Yard, which is considered a 50-50 yard. Now, let me explain the 50-50 yard thing to you. When it comes to the African Americans, brothers, right? Crips, Bloods, Kumis, non-affiliates, Muslims, the black population in the California prison system, they have different politics from Mexicans, whites, others, paisas. It's just the way it is, right? So they don't celebrate 50-50 yards. They don't recognize 50-50 yards. There are no such thing as 50-50 yards when it comes to the black community. That's just the way it is. You're either good or you're not good. And that's it, plain and simple, period. So when you hear about brothers on a 50-50 yard, it is not 50-50 for them. Meaning, and I'll give you the explanation on the 50-50 yard, but it is not 50-50 for them. So that is considered a general population yard for a brother, man. So yes, Tory Lanes was what you considered a GP inmate, meaning he was not SNY, he was not protective custody, he was not on the sensitive needs yard. He was not none of that. He was general population, but on what you would consider a softer yard. A yard you wouldn't consider to be popping off as much as, say, Soledad or Salinas Valley or High Desert or New Folsom. But it is what it is, man. It sure went down yesterday. Now, when it comes to the 50-50 yards, you would have yards like, say, if you go the Northerners, right? Norteños. They are non-active Norteños. They don't function under the same politics as a general population Norteño. These are the guys that are going to be on the 50-50 yard, or Southsiders that are no longer in the good graces of the organization. Then they are going to be the ones on a 50-50 yard. Sometimes you'll have North and South that are non-conforming that are going to be on a 50-50 yard. So basically the Mexicans that are there on that yard are not in good standings within their gang, or not in good standings within the general population, prison population, right? We're going to do a whole lot of population going on. So yesterday, there was a lot of he said, she said. And one of the things that was put out was that Tory Lanes was stabbed by a Mexican. Now, I'm just going to be real with you guys. When I first read the TMZ article yesterday that announced Tory Lane was hit in the morning, all I seen is that he was hit in the face. That's all they talked about. And I guess because, it sounds crazier. It's more drama, more intense, man, when someone gets stabbed in the face. So I assumed him getting stabbed in the face, it was probably within his own car. It was probably another brother that did that, or, someone he was hanging around with, maybe a cellie, a disgruntled inmate, whatever, right? But I looked at it from the situation of, if he was just hit in the face, they weren't trying to kill him. They were just trying to scar him up a little bit, teach him a lesson, right? But that wasn't the truth. That wasn't the case. Later on, it came out as more information was leaked yesterday by a correctional officer within the Tehachapi facility, that he was stabbed over 14 times in various locations. Man, he was stabbed, punctured his lungs, was hit in the face, was hit in the head. They went for the gusto. And immediately upon hearing the way he was stabbed and where he was stabbed, I said, "Now that's some Mexican shit." Right? That sounds like a Mexican did that. And the reason being is, having been incarcerated and locked up, You know, I'm not here to say Mexicans will hit you, stab you harder than blacks or get racial like that. But the truth of the matter is, you know, usually when a Mexican goes in for the kill, he's going for the kill. He's going to hit you in the most vital areas possible. You know, in my experience, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and say brothers won't do the same thing, but man, and every time I've been on the yard and I've seen a stabbing between brothers, man, it's usually they're going to just hit you real quick, boom, 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 and get on. Just they ain't trying to get caught. Where a Mexican already fucking is like, you know what? I'm going to stay here forever, and he'll just keep going and going. Whites are pretty much the same way, right? They're going to try to body you, and that's that. You know, they already are conformed to the fact that they're going to stay in prison forever, and they're going to go all the way out because that's how they gain their respect from their people. You know, if they were just to hit you a few times and try to get the fuck away, which is normal human instinct. You know, that's why the brothers have it right in that situation. To be brutally honest, the truth, the brothers have it right. Hey, just like on the streets when you're running from the cop, you're trying to get away, right? Everybody wants to get away. Nobody wants to stay locked up. Brothers ain't trying to stay locked up either. Boop, boop, boop. If it comes to that point, throw the knife and get on, right? Try to live to fight another day, Craig. Mexicans are different. Hey, insane in the membrane. You know what I'm saying? Cypress Hill said it. A Mexican's going to stop. They're going to try to fucking hit every vital organ you got and then sit there and laugh about it. And that's just how it is, right? It's a different mentality. It's I'm already here, so fuck it, let's go. Now, that's what I thought as soon as I heard about the wounds. Like, oh man, that was some Mexican shit, right? Or some white shit. And then it was out. Then on Paru, Whack 100 put it out, saying that the Mexicans had did this and that there was tension on the yard, which could possibly lead to riots, what could possibly lead to, you know, a retaliation from the brothers. Now, let me explain something to you. When something happens in a facility, on a yard, in a prison, for the most part, it's usually confined to that prison, that yard. You know, every different prison in the state of California is independent. Yes, they're all prisons. They're all ran by CDCR, but they're pretty much independent. Every yard could be different. You could be on a 4-yard or a 3-yard, even a 2-yard, man, that's rocking like a motherfucker, right? Every day, man, there's tension between black, white, brown. It just is what it is, gang related. And then you can go to another level 4 or 3 or 2, and it's just marshmallow. It's cool, it's smooth. The program's running straight. Now, most people, of course, want to be on those ones that are running good because the less tension, the less fucking drama that's going on, the better for you to facilitate your business on the yard. And there's a lot of business happening. So every little incident that does happen does affect the yards. Now, for Whack 100 and the guys that are saying, oh, the brothers are going to retaliate, it's going to be a brown and Mexican thing statewide, they're going to be riots, they're going to kick off a riot in Tehachapi, this, and that. Let me explain something to you. It doesn't work that way. You know, if you guys recall, about a year ago, man, there was an incident between some very well-known Mexicans with status and some brothers, right? And you didn't see it kicking off statewide because of that incident. And that right there was a super more major in the prison fucking life, right? Compared to this. This right here, yes, Tory Lanes is known, he's a rapper. Yes, Tory Lanes from Canada. Yes, Tory Lanes got popularity for shooting a girl on a pinky toe. Yes, Tory Lanes, but black, brown, white, green, it doesn't matter, man. That doesn't mean every program on every yard is going to get fucked off because of one dude. Now, if this was racially motivated and it was, and just because it's Mexicans and blacks doesn't make it racial. Okay? It doesn't mean he got stabbed because of his skin color or because he was black or because they were brown. They did that. That has nothing to do with it. If even a Mexican did this, because there's also another YouTube content creator saying that Mexicans weren't even involved and he was stabbed by his own people. Again, it's going to keep getting thrown out there. You know, I heard that another content creator called someone on the yard and they said, it's up, man. The Mexicans, it's up. And now, look, I will say this. When it comes to the black population, when they say it's up, it ain't down, right? Something's going down. So I could see that, and I could see possibly something happening, you know, because people are feeling some type of way, especially if it was a snake move and he didn't have that coming and it was what it was. But if it was business, nothing personal, or it was disrespect, or it was a number of things, then, hey, prison is prison. That's the weaponry they have. They're going to stab you. Okay, I've been stabbed. Other people have been stabbed. It just happens. That's the prison life that you live, man. You live by that motherfucking shank, you die by that shank. That's a fact. But let me give you this explanation. Being that that's a 50-50 yard. That yard to the Mexicans, to the whites, to the Paisas, to the others is considered a trash yard. Okay? However way you want to slice it and dice it. I know the brothers are GP there. They don't play them games at 50-50 games, and I feel that. But it's still, when you talk to the total population of inmates on GP, they're going to consider it, hey, that's a 50-50 yard. It's a trash yard. That's what you would now call one of those integrated yards or conforming yards or, programming yards. But the old title was 50-50. Now, just because an incident happens there, and I don't give a fuck if it's a black dude, a white dude, a green dude that gets stabbed, doesn't mean everyone else in the state's going to pop it off because of that. They're going to be like, that's a trash yard doing trash shit, man. That's on them. That's the facts. That's what they say. So I don't see this being a statewide thing where it's black and brown now just because Tory Lanes got stabbed. When X-Rated got stabbed, you didn't see the brothers kicking it off. They were just like, damn, that brother got stabbed like a motherfucker, right? Oh, grip. And then just kept it pushing. Now that's not to say there won't be skirmishes or incidences or melees. There could possibly be. Tory Lane's got a lot of fans. He got some support. People fucking might feel some type of way. And then that's when it becomes racial. That's when it becomes, now you're going to target the SAs or the Mexicans or whoever, the NAs, whoever did this. Because at this point in time, we don't know if it's a South Sider or a Northerner that did this. But let me give you some game. Little homie, let me give you some game. So here's some knowledge you can't get in college. Even if it was a Northerner or Southerner, they're not active. So that means the active Northerners and Southerners that do function have nothing to do with that. And they're not going to co-sign that. And they're going to be like, that was them cats, bro. We ain't got nothing to do with that. It ain't bowing down. It's just saying, hey. Now, if this was a Mexican and black incident, it's an isolated incident, I'm sure. I've been hearing whispers since yesterday, man. I talked to a couple people. They're saying, yeah, Tehachapi might. They're watching. They're watching for retaliation, for full-blown riots. Now, they just had a riot in Tehachapi just the other day, last week. And, you got different yards there. You have an SNY yard there. And I thought in the beginning, man, all Tehachapi was SNY. But now I come to find out they got 50-50 yards. But, as a whole, Tehachapi has no general population yards from what I'm hearing. Every yard there is what you consider not functioning, not active, right? Now, that doesn't mean, like I said, the blacks can go. And it's crazy with these prison politics and these rules to the gangs and all that. It's always different. It's always different. You have to look at it from that aspect, That's like when Crip Mac got out of prison. Everybody was like, oh, he was on a 50-50 yard. Yeah, but the blacks don't do that. That's not one of their things, So he could be on that yard. And actually, it's better to be on that yard for him because it's safer, man. But unfortunately for Tory Lanez, it wasn't too safe. So will there be violent acts and retaliation for this? Quite possibly. But this might be something just as simple as an argument with the celly, a business proposal gone wrong, some disrespect on that yard, And like I said, there's two different content creators saying something. Now, Whack 100, of course, immediately took to the airwaves like, that was the Mexicans on Paru, right? Maybe it was and maybe it wasn't. Whack, he got the tapes. He's usually plugged in. He usually knows what it is. And it quite possibly could be the Mexicans, but it wasn't Mexican on black, I'm sure, on racial shit. It's usually 99% never that. See, people make it that. They like to invoke emotion by making things racial, by causing division between black and brown. In prison, yes, there is separation there. There is racial lines drawn on every side. It's not because the Mexicans want it that way or because the blacks want it that way. It's because everybody needs it that way. It's better for the safety and security of yourself to kick it with your people and not mix and mingle and fraternize too much with the other side or the other ethnicity group, because guess what's going to happen? There's going to be some conflict and it's going to make everyone get involved because everyone feels that they have to protect their own. And it's unfortunate that's the way it's got to be, but that's the fucking way it is. It is what it is. That saying means something here. But that doesn't necessarily mean everything's racial when it's people of two different ethnicities that get into it. But I can see where it goes that route. you know, because hey, you fuck with my homeboy, I'm gonna fuck with your homeboy, and boop, 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 boop. There it goes, right? But I don't believe this was a racially motivated thing, and I don't believe all the brothers, man. And I've done time with brothers. I function on the same side of the yard with brothers, man. I know their mentality, how they think. They're with the business, man. Don't get it twisted with all these narratives that the brothers won't do something to you, because they'll do a whole lot to you that you don't want done to you, right? But they're thinkers. And there's a lot of them that do want to go home. There's a lot of them that are just in there doing their little bit of time and trying to get the fuck on down the road, get back to them hoes. You feel me? There's a lot of them that are like, nah, bro, we ain't trying to do this gangbanging shit. We ain't trying to really be in the mix like that. And then there are some that are like, fuck it, cuz, right? On power, you got that. So with the brothers come together, man, there's a lot of them that'll be like, man, it ain't all the Mexicans that did this. Because there's a lot of separation within the Mexican groups. You got to understand, there's Northerners, there's Southerners, there's Paisas, there's, you know, just, you know, dudes that fucking are from Honduras with a mole on their head that kick with other. I mean, you got a lot of different shit going on, right? But the truth of the matter is, you know, the brothers are smart enough to realize that and to be like, yeah, it ain't this particular group or that particular group. That's why you'll hear like the brothers going at it with the Southsiders or the brothers going at it with the Northerners. It ain't never a black and Mexican thing. Now, the brothers will come together, but not all the time. Sometimes you have the Crips. You know, it could be a Crip situation or a Blood situation or a Kumi situation. And the Bloods ain't going back to Crips because it ain't none of their business and it ain't their politics that got disrespected and vice versa. And all, it goes down like that a lot, you know. So for the people that are trying to spark a flame and pump it up, you know, people like Whack 100, oh, this was SA that did this. It's going up, man. The brothers is going to do this and the brothers is going to do that. Come on, Whack. You know, just like I know, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that might feel some type of way, but it ain't going to pop off like you think it's going to pop off. You know, I've seen someone already report, oh, there's a riot. There was a riot in Tehachapi behind this. Nah, ain't no riot in Tehachapi behind this. Oh, they're on modified program, but as soon as they come out, let me tell you something right now. In some instances, back in the days, yes, they would put the groups involved, you know, just for safety and security until the investigation is done on modified program, which means lockdown. But in this case, I haven't heard that yet. You know, someone gets stabbed on the yard, man. I've seen people get stabbed on the yard and it's back to business as usual come Monday, you know, but later on that evening, people are fucking, you're going to chow. So I don't know, you know, I don't know in this situation what it is. But I can tell you right now, for the people that are trying to pump it up and make it a black and brown thing, you know what? Usually, like if this was general population, I mean a solid, pura general population where everybody was GP, this would have never happened like this. You would have never seen a Mexican man, if this is even a Mexican that did this, because like I said, there's another content creator that says it was a black that did it. We don't know yet, right? But if this was a Mexicano that did this, Paisa, North, South, period, right? White guy that did it, it would have been up right there. The riot would have kicked off right then and there. There would have been, you can't touch another race. You can't do that. It just doesn't happen on GP. Being that this is a 50-50 yards, a little bit of a more tricky situation. But again, for those that are like, oh, it's going to go statewide, it's going to be Mexican and black, it never is that. Even when they're active, it's never that, man. It's never been that. It's not like, oh, all blacks and Mexicans in every facility, in every fucking prison throughout the state of California, all 40 of them, they're going to get off simultaneously. It doesn't work that way, man. There's dudes in prison that are like, man, that ain't none of our business. That dude shouldn't have been running his fucking mouth. And that'd be coming from his own people. Like, bro, you think I'm going to fucking lose my visit with my old lady? Or you think I'm going to fucking lose my canteen or package I got coming over Tory Lanes? Shit, that motherfucker got money, cuz, right? I'm telling you, the mentality is different in prison. Those that been there will tell you, and they have known, they know. And that's just it, man. So for the people that are throwing out the lies, there was a riot in Tehachapi. If you see my thumbnail, man, I hope you weren't bamboozled by it. There was no riot in Tehachapi. You know, there was last week. A couple SNY, the GBGs got off like a motherfucker, right? They've been getting off. But as far as, you know, on this 50-50 yard, it's a little bit more tricky. And there could quite possibly, like I said, if this was brown and black, Mexican and black, man, there could be some people feeling some type of way. Retaliation and all that, maybe so. But I don't see that. I don't see it coming. I don't see this big old riot and the brothers feeling some type of way, man. You know, stabbings happen all the time. I think it's just becoming a bigger story than it is because it's Tory Lanes. So, you know, with that being said, take it for what it is. That's just some knowledge you can't get in college, man. You know, I'm going to watch this incident very closely, see if I can get some more information on it. I'll bring it back to you guys. It's unfortunate, man, that he got stabbed the way he did, and the way he was hit, man. They hit a lot of vitals. They was really trying to take him out, right? That was some Mexican shit for sure, right? You never know, man. That could have been a brother. We just never know, man. And the people that are running around as Mexicans like Whack 100 and this and that, stop telling, Whack. Man, stop telling, bro. On Paul rules, stop. What if the cops didn't know? I mean, I'm sure they do. People drop fucking kites all day long. They probably knew before we knew, before TMZ knew. But the thing is, bro, stop trying to cause racial division and tension on social media, man. You know, I know the whole thing is black and brown. And look, bro, and there is some racial divide. There is always going to be, man. People do it. It just is what it is. I don't like it, but I understand it. Unfortunately, man. The gun. I'm going to do what I do, man. Thank you.